seen all of the old ones, coming in to see this new one. This is you know, it's the next one, so we here to see what's happening.
That's right.
I'm working on it right now. My daughters and all of us getting together and staying at home with my grandbaby where we can watch it together and have our own discussion about it.
Another incredible installment of Hidden Colors 5, The Art of African Warfare, man. Really good movie. I brought my 14-year-old son because he needs to be in front of this information. So
the colors are no longer hidden. And if you can't see what's going on, it's because you don't want to. This is the official review of the movie Hidden Colors 5. First of all, before we get into it, I am your platform partner, Jackson, all about making things happen, addicted to action. Make sure you follow this page in that order, place your order. When I look at any movie, any piece of propaganda, any piece of programming, any film especially, I always look at it as a tool. I don't look at it just from the perspective of, oh, can I enjoy it and have fun? That's very, very important though. But I'm looking at three things. And so when I'm reviewing Hidden Colors 5, there's three primary things that I was looking for. Was the film memorable? Were the things that made me remember? Because if nothing is memorable, I'll just get the information, forget it, and do nothing about it. Two is, did it make me want to take action and do something? And lastly, the third thing that I was looking for is, does this film make me want to, have to, or need to tell a friend about what I experienced in this theater?
So I really enjoyed it. I think that they covered a wide range of information, didn't leave a whole lot of stones unturned, and so I thought in that sense it was real powerful. I think that regardless of who sit down and watch it, they'll get something from it regardless of their perspective, and for that reason I think that they did a really good job with it.
The first question is, who was this film for? Who do I think are the type of people that would absorb this film in the way that it was produced and how he presented this one from the other one? I think anyone from 8 to almost 88 could be able to absorb this because he delivered the message in a really entertaining and a simple way. It wasn't complicated. The production, it was broken down into 7 parts. Very, very easy to follow. This is different than the first 4 films because this was kind of unapologetic. So this is not for people that are extremely scary or on the fence about white supremacy. If you watching this one and your window's open, guess what? You scared, you definitely gonna put your window down if this is playing, because they're going pretty much in. They're not really holding back on white supremacy. They're not being nice. They just calling it pretty much what it is.
I thought the movie was really great. I appreciated all of the people who contributed to the project. I will be using it in my classes like I've used the other 4, and I have not used 1804 yet, but I'll use that as well. But definitely looking forward to it, because I teach classes on African American studies, racism, institutional racism, so African history. So I'm looking forward to it. I appreciate it very much.
I really enjoy Shahrazad Ali. She's always amazing. And I like this Brother Polite in this film because normally to me, Brother Polite can be overly intellectual and he can use words that can lose you. Great, smart brother, but in this one, the way Tariq edited, it came off very simple. Brother Polite was speaking to you almost as if you were a 3rd grader. You could absorb a film like this. So Jamal Smalls, Booker T, very happy to see Dr. Charm in the film. She talked about various different things, especially with Chicago, that I thought, and I want to talk about that in a little bit too, because I really enjoyed when he talked about everything from Chicago, from the Policy Kings, about how the lottery was created from the Policy Kings in Chicago, on the south side of Chicago, the millionaires that were, the money that was moving during the Great Depression in the 1929 and 30s, but also from the crime that's happening in Chicago. He really went in talking about the crime that's happening today. I personally feel like in films like this, what he does well is he presents, the information is presented almost like a court case. It's not based on opinion, but it's based on facts. And so he's building a case against white supremacy that is pretty much irresistible, irrefutable, and undeniable. So was it memorable? Absolutely. But because remember, the film is about 2 hours, maybe 15 minutes, something like that. It's a pretty long film. And there were still parts that were very memorable. I think Michael Jett White, I really remember when he was talking about food and how basically, you know, it's not only genetically modified, but it's not real in the first place. And he then connects it to like jerk chicken on how you don't see fat Jamaicans because that food is just cooked totally different because it's not processed, not using salt, not using sugar. So they talk about some basic everyday things, but it's done in such a way where it's impactful and it's going to make you remember it and think twice when you're participating in that as you move around through your day-to-day activities. So you could be a teacher and watch this, or you could be a street hustler and watch this and get something from it. Now, I don't want to act like this movie was just everything was totally perfect. Tariq offered the perspective of Jesse Lee Peterson, I think. He was kind of depicted as the coon, the antagonist, the voice who's not about black empowerment. In a good court case, you want to show both sides. A good court case is when you're presenting all the facts and you can come to your own opinion. So I like the fact that he represented an alternate opinion in Jesse Lee Peterson. But the only thing I don't like about that is it's almost was making it very biased. He almost painted it like you definitely don't want to be this coon. This is the dude you don't want to be. So it was almost like making a mockery of this guy instead of letting the audience make their own opinion. Action, let's talk about Tell a Friend.
The community that I come out of, which was the Valley of the Kings, you know, 47 to 51st Street, South Park, and Cottage Grove.
Washington Park Forum that's been founded in 1930, still there today. Everybody is welcome. Come there, and we still there, and we talk and express ourselves and try and join the community and different endeavors all over the city and of this country. So we travel all over the world. We have 3 villages that we adopted in Ethiopia. Going to Egypt twice. I'm on my way back to Ghana. So this is not just local. We are worldly people. This is not a local Chicago fight. This is a worldly fight. This is our world. Our people, our animals, our skies, our waters. We need to protect all that from mankind.
Did it make me want to tell a friend? Let's talk about that. When you watch a movie like this, I don't care if you are very aware of everything, if you know everything that was heard in this movie, or if you was brand new to all this information. Either way, you're gonna want to tell somebody about this because they're coming with straight up and down facts, and they're presenting it in a way that is simple and almost pretty much irrefutable. That presents a good and a bad thing. The good thing is now you as the viewer can go out, not only live by this, but you can tell your friend, hey, this is what I came across. Now the bad thing about that is you're gonna be telling this to some of the wrong people. People that are gonna try to sabotage you and put water on your fire and tell you that you're crazy. And you know, there's always gonna be those people that are gonna say they haven't seen Hidden Colors. They don't even really know what it's about. But when you tell them this is about black empowerment, automatically they'll say, I don't wanna watch it. Automatically. They don't even know, they haven't seen it, but they say, you know, I don't even wanna watch it. Because they've already prejudiced and performed an opinion because they're so close to the opposite thought. Like they're gonna, and this is how I look at it. I do believe that the conscious community that bangs and bashes against Christianity sometimes creates a new form of their own religion that's just as bad or indoctrinated just as Christianity. So it's like you banging on somebody else for what they're doing and their religious views, but then all you do is take an old historical view and saying my religion is better. So you almost from one indoctrination to another. And so some people may not want to watch Hidden Colors because they're already indoctrinated, and then they're believing that everybody that watches this is super hotep or super, hey, black power, and some people are. Some people are. There are people that are going to be in the audience that watch this that are just super, hey, we need to learn this. Black power. I'm the original man. And you know what? I don't knock those people because there's some truth to that too. Here's my point. My point is, don't look at this as a form of being indoctrinated. You don't have to agree with everything.
All right, yeah. So it was very informative, very good. This is the 5th movie. I think I've seen 3 of the other 4, and it's very informative. But the best part about it is the solutions at the end, what we can do. And we're gonna talk now. Like a bunch of people are coming out to go talk now, so that's probably the best part of the whole movie. That we actually do something instead of just watching. That's what I have to say. Okay.
And you see and hear in this film. You don't have to like every single speaker in this film. You may not like what they said. You may not like the way they said it. You may not like what they was wearing or how they looked. But if you find something in here that works for you, your job is to apply it. It is polarizing for some. Some people just can't stomach and handle it. But I think this is a good film to have, not just for the sake of I'm proud, because it's great for that, but not just for that alone, because you don't want to also get super indoctrinated with saying, well, this is how it is. However, if you are in the jungle and there is a predator that is attacking you, you need to be aware and not try to ignore it and say, oh man, it ain't no predator. It's my fault. I got ate up and I got bit, or it's my fault. All I need to do is just tighten up my bootstraps and everything will be okay. No, you need to be aware that is a predator and you're the prey, and you need to realize that the tools that this predator uses is deception. And if you aren't aware of that, you will continue to fall regardless on what temporary solution you have. You can't just put a band-aid on it. You got to be able to truly understand the root of your problem. It's not about trying to convince people and say, hey, this is the truth or not. This is about being aware and you making your own decision. So I'm not saying I agree with anything in the film, but I do agree that people should have the option to look at a court case and the evidence and come to their own conclusion. But the movie was broken down into at least 7 different parts. I was happy to see that they talked about things like comic books, Superman, Wolverine, and various other comic book characters. But we got to remember, a lot of this starts with the child of a mind and those subtle things of programming, and we're being programmed even when you're having fun. So we need to be very aware of that. I like when they talked about that, how Wolverine was based on the black god Ogun, and Superman came from, I think, Osiris. Some of that stuff he couldn't present exact facts for, but when he referenced it, oh man, he brought that thing together where, hey, you know, you got to make your own decision. But it was very strong connections amongst the comic book industry and these white characters and archetypes, and them coming from black history of black figures and black people and energy. So that was an amazing thing that stood out to me. Also, I loved when he talked about Chicago. He went into speaking on the crime in Chicago and showing evidence that, you know, there's no way that all of these crimes could be based on just black people. And he showed evidence there of white folks, mysterious white folks, and their potential role in some of these crimes and organ trafficking and etc. So they really make that very compelling and they're backing it up with some facts and statistics, not just statistics, but factual evidence in that as well. They talk about food, GMOs. They talk about on the basic level. They're not getting super deep. They keep it really simple. And in fact, I really appreciated the doctor that was in this film. I forget his name, but he was actually one of my favorite speakers throughout the film. The doctor that was in the film, because he was pretty profound. He was simple. He was the most profound one. He wasn't using big words. He was just real simple. I mean, I like Rizza Islam. Rizza was good talking about the vaccines and everything. But I appreciate people that keep their message on the 3rd grade level where you can't miss it, you know, regardless. And I think that doctor did an amazing job. I forget his name, but the doctor did an excellent job in this film. Standout guy. Also, they talked about martial arts. As a coming, you know, the origins of martial arts, and also the presence of martial arts in the inner city streets, which was very powerful. They talked about disease and propaganda, on how the face of diseases have been engineered to be black, and how we don't necessarily look at white people as, you know, the diseases that they really have, and the truth of them dying out. That was one of the biggest messages about white folks dying out as a species globally. All right, and so that was powerful. That was very, very powerful, and that was good. I'm glad they talked about that, because I've been actually studying that as well, about, you know, white folks all across the globe that are dying right now. The average age of the person, even across the population, the highest population on the earth right now is like the continent of Africa and the continent of Asia. The average age across Africa is about 19. If you look at the life right now. So that means there's a lot of future in Africa. There's a lot of future in black people. And he talks about that. He breaks that down. And so it's even though it's talking about war and it could be scary, I think you have to look at stuff like this, because it not only empower you, but help give you strategies and spark your mind to make your own decisions on how your position, and not just flow with the current stream of information, and answer some questions that you probably have had on your heart. Now, I know I've been talking about nothing but problems in terms of what's going on in the black community. And many people, the reason why they don't watch films like Hidden Colors, or they don't engage in conversations with black people about white supremacy, the reason why people don't sometimes is because they say, oh, well, all we doing is talk about the problem. Where are the answers? Where are the solutions? Well, in this film, they had a section about corrective actions. Now, they have it in every film. They talk about that. In every Hidden Colors film, they have a solution. This time, it wasn't solutions. It was corrective actions. That was mean things that you can actually apply. All right? Not just theory solutions, stuff that you can do. And some of them were quite simple. I'll be real, I didn't get all of those, because remember, I was facilitating the film. So I was standing up, moving around. I'm going in and out, interviewing people. I got a table in the back. So I didn't get to absorb all of the end of the film, because that's when I had to move around. However, I remember some of the basic stuff that was really good. I mean, even the power of economics, from, you know, saving your gold, saving your silver, you know, being financially educated, empowered in terms of, you know, investing, and things like, you know, ways to actually go about changing that food, from growing food. We talked about that. They pretty much, every section where they talked about the problems, all 7 parts, you know, whether it be economic, school system, religion, disease, they offer some corrective actions for all of that, for the most part. And so it's really up to you to apply those things and to apply what you feel like will work for you. Again, I want to say that I truly believe that these films are not just about trying to just program you to just have pride. I think it's just a really good opportunity for you to take solid factual information, you research it, you come to the conclusion. Don't just take this information and say, oh, yep, it's automatically true because they said it. No, do your research, because when someone else says it, you can doubt it. But when you see that it's true, it's undoubtable. right? Because it has to come through you. So that way, through your negative trials, tribulation, ups and downs, you're going to be irrefutable with your strength and your power. And one thing they talked about is in this film also is not being afraid to die or to give it all up, and just really just changing your perspective on death, and by changing your perspective on life, because you want to look at what do you have to live for, and how can we be able to live better lives. And I got to make this really clear. I got to make this clear. And that is, you can take the movie how you take it. Meaning, I don't think this is necessarily about going out and you hating anyone. This isn't hate speech that he gave. It wasn't about hating any white person or other black people that may not agree with you. But it is about you being aware that war is being waged, that there's predators that are after, and you are the prey. And you being aware of how these predators are deceiving you and attacking you and your family every single day. And if you don't do anything about it, eventually there won't be anything that you can do. So this movie is not based on you being afraid and living in fear. In my opinion, I think it's more so based on you going within yourself and tapping into your real power of your spirituality. That's how I took it. I'm not saying that's what Tariq did for everyone else and that's what his goal was, but for me, that's how I took it. It's just it's another opportunity to look within and realize what
Steve Biko said it best, that the greatest weapon in the hands of the oppressor are the minds of the oppressed. And so it's a necessity for us to free our minds. And when we talk about free our minds, we talk about being African in our minds, who we are as an African people, because only in the absence of us being African can they oppress us. The second thing I would probably say is that our existence is about the existence for self versus being here existing for the sake of something or someone else. And so while we're here, we need to make sure that our time is spent trying to live for ourselves. And then the third thing is that culture is power, and that in all things that we do, we need to look to Africa. We see
the real power is to not try to look for excuses, not to necessarily blame other people, to not necessarily try to be a victim, but to empower myself through first just me one at a time, and me being the example of just having my own pride and just being aware of what's going on. And I talk about that a lot also in my book, about awareness of what's going on while you're building your own confidence and your community. Shut Up and Hustle. It's about how to think like an immigrant, you know, putting yourself in a mindset as if you were living in a different country. You're an immigrant moving around so that you can be aware and seeking freedom in life. So I'll put a link in the description for this book as well. But so my overall review is the movie was very memorable. It made me want to take action. Primarily the action is to produce more, in terms of to produce and work with my other business owners to make sure anything that I do it on a high quality, to know I don't need other people to create success. All right. And so those are some of the basic things, and just to be aware of my food, what I'm putting in my body. Those are some basic things. But this is truly a film that it literally, you know, it's a reference film, meaning you'll watch it probably 5 or 10 times. First, you're going to get something different every time. It's not about you trying to agree with everything or to automatically dismiss it. This is, you find something in here that works for you, and I would definitely encourage you to share this with your children and make this a conversation that you guys have, not based on, hey, I agree with that. No, but a conversation on, hey, so what can I do? What can you do? You know, let's look up some facts and not just argue. And even if you know you got two different facts that clash and say, well, nope, this ain't true because of this, and nope, that fact ain't right. It ain't even necessarily about that. It's about how can we build and come together as a collective, right, with the right people. So with that being said, I think this is a great ending to that series. And yeah, let me know what y'all think, because you saw it. I know this video is going long. I didn't expect it to go this long, but let me know what you think. Leave it in the comment section below. Subscribe to this page. Also, I got so many other videos on this page where I talk about self-awareness, because I truly believe, see, this movie is about knowing yourself, which is great. However, it was from a knowing yourself from a group level and historical level. However, I believe it's just as important, if not more important, to know yourself as an individual, to know what are your strengths, weaknesses, gifts. How do you go about overcoming your own self-sabotage? Why are you procrastinating? What is it going on in your brain and your habits that you need to change? That formula so you can get those habits to not just achieve success, but for you to just pursue your purpose and be satisfied with just being on your path towards your purpose, right? And then how to get others along in your community to support that. So that's what I talk about. I really go in and give tools and resources in this book for those people that are really going to tap into a higher level. You want financial freedom, you want the tools, not just finances, but health, mental health, emotional therapy, all of that good stuff, art, creativity. This is here for those folks, all right? Self-awareness guide right here. So with that being said, man, listen, you watched, I'll watch. Let's stop just watching and let's do something, and I'll be watching you in that order. With that being said, I am Jackson, your platform partner, Dr. Jackson 360, all about making things happen, addicted to action and making it happen. Shout out to you, everybody who's following Culture Connection 360. Also, shout out to the Tariq, Nasheed, Ola, Sean, all his people on this team. Coconut, his whole family, not Coconut, Peanut, or, you know, his wife, basically. And yeah, and all of my followers, man, all of the hustle maniacs that's following this page, shout out to you. And man, let's continue to build. Hey, you ain't got to agree with me. You don't got to like this film at all. And that's cool, but we can still build. You feel me? In that order, place your order. Flip!